Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Gruesome and Grotesque video. As always, I just do these videos randomly when I come across something that I read online, either through the Google News app or through other news websites, such as the case with this unfortunate set of fatalities that occurred at a park last year. All this talk this year about extreme heat temperatures impacting so many people throughout so many regions in the US. It reminded me of a story that I had looked at last year that I finally am getting around to talk about now. And this is because there's another story that I'm going to feature a little bit later on as well that eerily parallels this too. It has to do with the situation involving, in this case, a father and his two stepsons that were caught in an extreme heat situation there at a park called Big Bend National Park, and two of them tragically ended up dying there. So again, it's an advisory that's out there. You hear it all the time, every year. Be very careful when it comes to extreme temperatures because such things can truly impact people in certain ways, and in some cases, even up to fatalities if you're not careful. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the case here. In this case, it's associated with two fatalities of due to extreme heat in Big Bend National Park. So, as always, I'll give my own thoughts and opinions on this as well. Those of you that may have been in this park before, especially during the summertime, let me know as well your own experiences. See if it truly has the extreme heat danger that's associated with this story here. So, here's what occurred. Again, this was last year, June 23rd, 2023. Apparently, at that time, there was both a father and his two stepsons that were traveling over from Florida, coming here to Texas to go to a place that's called Big Bend National Park. Now, I've never personally been to Big Bend National Park, but I have heard of it before. It's apparently located there in the western side of Texas, a little bit southwest, if you will, and an area pretty much bordering Mexico. The reason why it's called Big Bend is because there's a area there that crosses over that kind of bends downward because of the Rio Grande, and hence essentially it got that term at the Big Bend. So afterwards, it then became a national park and it became known as the Big Bend National Park. It's a very, very large park as well. Apparently, it's about 4 kilometers long, but the size of it is just massive, over 800,000 acres in total associated with this park. If you go there during the summertime, you're going to encounter these extreme heats that I was just mentioning. That's because this park and most of West Texas, a lot of people that move to Texas find out quite by surprise that if you go over to West Texas, it's a lot of barren land. It's a lot of land associated with just pretty much rocks, very little foliage. What you would think like the Grand Canyon looks like is essentially what the Western Texas area is as well. So, especially during the heat, during the summertime, it's just endless nothing that's out there. And then because of that, there's also the extreme side opposite, where during the wintertime it not only gets cold, but it can also get sub-freezing temperatures too. So imagine being in a park this size, this massive, and then you can be caught in those two extremes. If all of a sudden you're in a very dry area and then you're suddenly facing very high temperatures, well above 100 degrees, that's very dangerous. And then on the opposite end, if you're in the cold and you're in the winter and then all of a sudden it's sub-freezing temperatures, you've got nothing surrounding you for who knows how far long. So in both cases, you just have to be very, very careful with regards to this place. There's a pretty prominent location there too called the Casa Grande. It's a place that stands out the most because it's a giant peak. It's located right in the heart of Big Bend National Park. You'll clearly see it from who knows how far back. Although, ironically, it's not the highest point within the entire park itself. Apparently, there's other places that are even higher, but it definitely stands out the most because it's a flat topped summit. So it almost looks like it's almost like a work of art, like it was created by something very, very large, but no, it was actually done by nature in of itself. But otherwise, Big Bend National Park, for all intents and purposes, people visit it annually. In fact, the last go around that there was a census made was about 5 years ago. It was almost 500,000 people that visit it annually, and they enjoy things there as is, like free of danger. Not 100%, but they're safe, in other words. But then every now and then you have these stories here. So, again, coming back to the actual incident, here's what had occurred. So, I don't know the time period of when the father and the two stepsons, who all remained nameless, by the way, all the articles that I was reading on it, looking through various sources, the park itself ended up not identifying any of them, which is perfectly fine. Keep them anonymous for the sake of their family. But they apparently visited there on June 23rd. I don't know the time period, but it must have been sometime during at least the morning towards the afternoon, because, like most situations in these gruesome and grotesque stories where people go and it's extreme heat, they tend to do it in the worst time of the day. That's in the afternoon, going more towards blazing sun time period. So they were apparently there hiking a trail that was called the Marufo Vega Trail. Those of you that have been there again to Big Bend National Park, let me know. What is that trail about? Is that a trail that you can hike in relative safety? Are there signs outside stating only do so during certain times? I imagine that there are as well, that there's advisories out there letting people know when it's best to hike it. But again, with these stories that I talk about, people sometimes just choose to do it the wrong way, or not even see any kind of these notices and not realize the danger that they're in. But there they were, the father and the two stepsons hiking this Marufo Vega Trail. But at a certain point, somewhere around the mid-afternoon, like closer to the 5 o'clock period, that's when all of a sudden things took a tragic turn. The youngest of the group, who was age 14 at the time, ended up falling ill somewhere there along the trail, and then ended up losing consciousness. This is because, get this, the temperature there at that time was 119 degrees Fahrenheit. Can you believe that? 119 degrees. If you're ever out here in Texas again, a lot of people that move here, it catches them by surprise when the summers get over 100 degrees. They realize just how truly hot it is. Where I'm at, it gets above 100 degrees as well, but not as high as 119. So imagine it going to 119, and then you're in areas where, let's say, the ground itself makes things even hotter, makes it feel above 119. Very little shade, as I was mentioning earlier, and as you've seen at these pictures here. And then there you are on the trail, just trying to get back to a certain point after you realize your mistake. But that must have been what's that happened, because the youngest, again, at age 14, fell ill, lost consciousness. The other brother, the stepbrother, who was age 21 at the time, it was decided at that point that he would carry his brother over back to where they came from, which I believe was cited as a trailhead. And then the father, it was decided that he would hike back over to their vehicle to try to find help. So again, eerily similar to some of the other past cases that I've talked about in these extreme hate situations where people split up. And then that's where, of course, things take that tragic turn. Because as it turns out afterward, the brother apparently was able to get somewhere to find help, because that's when the Big Bend National Parks Communication Center received a phone call involving emergency assistance along that trail. So the information was a little loose, but I'm guessing that that's what occurred, that the brother was able to carry his younger brother back over to a location, get help. That phone call was made, and then that's when the personnel came over and then started to assist them. But it was unfortunately too little, too late. It was around 7:30 p.m. that the youngest victim, in other words, the one that was age 14, was found, but he had passed away. He had passed away there along the trail itself. So it gave me the heebie-jeebies, because just thinking about it, the brother, the older one, the 21-year-old, was basically carrying his younger brother alive at a certain point. But then somewhere along the way, the brother ended up passing away. Maybe if it was just for 10 minutes sake, something like that, even earlier, there could have been a chance. But no, it looks like somewhere along the way, the younger one, ended up passing away right there. How horrible must that have been for the older brother to realize, again, if but for a few minutes, things would have been much, much different. And so the search continued then to try to find the father. The father was found about 30 minutes later, but he was found in his vehicle. Apparently, this was at a place called Bokias Overlook. Someone let me know again if you've been to that location, where that is. But the father was found in it, but the vehicle was crashed. In fact, it was crashed over an embankment. So somewhere along the way, the father was able to get back to the vehicle, and then he was able to drive it for a little bit. But what I'm guessing happened was, and it kind of eerily, again, is similar to some of my past stories, those trails, the vehicles, if you try to drive over them, they're just not made for them. Like your average vehicle is just not made for those type of trails with the tires that you have. It just takes a little bit to puncture those tires, and then that's it. The tires are gone, the vehicle is completely stuck, and I'm guessing that's what occurred here. The only other thing I could think of, and again, information is loose, but the only thing I could think of was the father ended up passing away due to the heat. Imagine that. Imagine being out there, 119 degrees. You're traveling on the trail, trying to get back as quick as you can. The heat is tolling you more and more. You get inside the vehicle. You finally find your vehicle. You get inside it. And imagine the heat on the inside of the vehicle, even with the windows down, at least trying to get the heat out, even with the AC just blowing as quickly as much as can be. There's only so much that can occur with the heat until it succumbs someone. So either A, the vehicle crashed because of the conditions, the rocky conditions it was traversing on, and it pretty much, the father just passed away there, or the father passed away inside the vehicle, ended up crashing it, and then that's when he was found there. So, but that's pretty much it. That's all the information associated with this very unfortunate circumstance. Again, this is a location, the Marufu Vega Trail, located there in Big Bend National Park, that apparently has extremely rugged deserts, high rocky cliffs, no shade, no water, nothing else surrounding it. It's just endless nothing. So if you truly want to take a trek like this, and I have done something similar, but it was in the colder season there in Nevada. That's when I went to Red Rock Canyon, and I was there in the early morning, and even then I could just feel the heat coming over sometimes soon afterwards. Do it in a safe condition. Do it where you're with someone. Do it where you know that there's going to be people around. Do it where you're going to be expected somewhere else, like a tour company would be expected to be back at a certain time. That way people start looking for you, etc. That's the best that I could recommend. And of course, do it in an area with not so much heat. Like, don't do it in the afternoon when the sun is out blazing and it's all the wrong place at the wrong time because of the heat and the lonely circumstance out there, just making an incident like this truly, truly happen. So tragic circumstance again for everyone involved. But I could just the worst part of the story is, again, the youngest one, the 14-year-old brother, essentially dying right there, presumably in the arms or in the back of the older brother as he was trying to carry him over to safety. And then, of course, the father not having a chance, probably his last moments, thinking to himself that he's just not able to, he's not going to survive, and what that means for his young sons, his stepsons afterward. Overall, just horrible, horrible stuff. So, but let me know what you guys and gals think. As far as this story, any other information I might have missed, please post it in the comments below. Anybody again been to that park before? Then please, if you know from experience how dangerous that location can be, just let me know. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.